Live streaming is on.
Hi, good morning. Sorry that we are late this morning. Um, but if you are here and you've tuned in, glad to see you. Hope everyone is great. It's a beautiful day right now. We have storms expected in the afternoon and rain over the next 3 days, but it's warm. If you're able to get out there right now and enjoy that, by all means do so. If you got babies at home, get them out and let them get some sunshine and play and breathe. Um, so it's a great day. Today, we are going to continue talking about um, we're going to continue talking about how an author's claims are developed and refined. So you come up with your um, argument that you're going to make and what goes into creating that argument. What's going on right now? What's happened in the past? What is your purpose? Who is your audience? We talked a little bit about soapstone, so we're going to talk about that some more today. But I attached Martin Luther King's speech. Most of us don't know it beyond the passage where he's talking about the children, and that's beautiful, and everybody can go for that. Little children playing together, that's beautiful. But the name of the speech is the oh my goodness, it was March on Jobs and Freedom. So that was the purpose to talk about the pressing civil rights issues of the day. The thing about the poem, to me, not the poem, the speech rather, it is poetic in the language that he chose. But the thing that really gets me when I read it is that it could have been just written today, for the pressing issues of today. So if you haven't read it on your own, I'm going to read it. I'm not going to do it any kind of justice. I just want you to listen to the tone, his choice of words. In the last class, we talked about the setup, the background, how it came to be that 200,000 people were here to protest lack of jobs and civil rights abuses for Black people and march on jobs for everyone. Um, he got involved into many things before he died. Spoke against the Vietnam War, supported migrant farm workers in California. So this man was someone who spoke up for injustices for all people. So, as I said, I'm hoping that some of you will read it on your own. I'm not going to do it justice. I'm going to read it. And then I want you to then look at the soapstone page again on your own. We'll go over that on Friday, and that will be that. So, here we go. Um, and so, here we go with the speech. And forgive me. I'm happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. 50 years ago, a great American president in whose symbolic shadow we stand today at the Lincoln Memorial signed the Emancipation Proclamation. And this remarkable decree came as a great light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been burned by the flames of injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of slavery. But 100 years later, the Negro is still not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is sadly crippled by handcuffs of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty, surrounded by a vast ocean of material wealth. 100 years later, the Negro is still wasting away in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land. So we come here today to dramatize a shameful condition. In a sense, we have come to our nation's capital to cash a check. When the architects of our republic rewrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a check that every American was able to cash. This check was a promise to all men. Yes, Black men as well as white men would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that America has defaulted on this check when it comes to her citizens of color. Instead of honoring this promise, America has given the Negro people a bad check. The check which has come back marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is broke, and we refuse to believe that there are no funds in the great vaults of opportunity of this nation. So we have come to cash this check that will give us, upon demand, the riches of freedom and justice. We seek the sunlit path of racial justice. We have also come to this holy spot to remind America of the importance of now. There is no time for cooling off or to take the calming drug of going slowly. Now is the time to make real the promises of democracy. Now is the time to rise from the dark valley of segregation. We seek the sunlit path of racial justice. Now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksands of racial injustice to the solid rock of brotherhood. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all of God's children. It would be fatal for the nation to overlook the urgency of the moment. This sweltering summer of the Negro's desire for more will not pass until there is refreshing autumn of freedom and equality. The year 1963 is not an end, it is but a beginning. Some have hoped that the Negro needed to blow off steam and will now be content. They will have a rude awakening if the nation returns to business as usual. There will be neither rest nor peace in America until the Negro is given his citizenship rights. The whirlwinds of revolt will continue to shake the foundations of our nation. We seek the bright day when justice emerges. But there is something that I must say to my people who stand in the warm doorway, which leads into the palace of justice. In seeking our rightful place, we must not be guilty of wrong deeds. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. We must forever conduct our struggle on the high plane of dignity and discipline. We must not allow our creative protest to be changed by physical violence. Again and again, we must rise to great heights, meeting physical force with soul force. A marvelous new militancy has engulfed the Negro community, but this must not lead us to a distrust of all white people, for many of our white brothers, as seen by their presence today, have come to realize that their future is tied up with our future. They have come to realize that their freedom is most surely bound to our freedom. We cannot walk alone because as we walk, we must make the pledge that we shall march always ahead and we cannot turn back. So I'm going to stop there and continue on Friday, and then we will go more into looking at our soapstone. But as you've heard those words and read it again for yourself, I want you to think about the tone that he used. He is very, very good with his use of figurative language, of creating pictures in your mind and of inspiring emotions. So think about those things and read the rest of the speech on your own. We'll complete the rest of it Friday. We're just about done, as you can see. And if you want to start looking at that soapstone sheet attached, which teaches you how to analyze a passage, go ahead and look at that on your own as well. And we'll talk about that more on Friday. Until then, I shall see you tomorrow for writing and science, and then again for reading and social studies on Friday. So everyone be well and take care.